Before air conditioning was in every house, staying cool in the summer meant accepting the heat and being ready for it. People couldn't just check a weather app, press a button, or turn a knob on a box at the window. They paid attention to the sun, the breeze, the shade, and the time of day. Did you grow up in a household without an air conditioner? How did you stay cool in the summer? Let us know in the comments. Here are 15 ways people beat the heat before they had an air conditioner. Stay tuned for the last one, because you've probably never seen this contraption hanging from a car. Summer whites. Before people dressed like they were off to impress their followers on social media, summer clothes were modest, presentable, and comfortable. You didn't have to wonder whether it was cute, color-coordinated, or made your thighs look slimmer. Men wore linen shirts, seersucker suits, straw hats, and light cotton trousers. Women wore sleeveless blouses, loose skirts, and thin summer dresses that let air move. Children wore short pants, simple dresses, canvas shoes, or went barefoot on grass. Sure, we didn't have synthetic blends that you can't see sweat stains through. However, they're made and washed with chemicals. Natural materials were the way to go, and we didn't have to think twice about it. Wind. If there's a hint of wind, how about opening the windows? A good cross breeze could make a hot house feel tolerable. People opened windows on opposite sides of the house so the air could circulate rather than remain stagnant. Older homes often had tall ceilings and transom windows above doors, which allowed air to travel from one room to another while keeping doors closed for privacy. Old-fashioned ceiling fans and electric fans helped circulate air. If you had one with only a few bars encasing the metal blade, you remember sitting in front of it and trying to talk funny or make strange sounds.
Oh my God, you wouldn't believe the cool breeze that is blowing in my face through this transom right now. Now I know how those Victorians survived in Alabama heat.
Keep the sun out. When it got hot, most people would crack open a window, hoping a breeze would filter in. But on a hot, humid day with no wind relief in sight, some people kept the heat out just like they kept the cold out in winter. In the morning, curtains were pulled, shutters were closed, and awnings were lowered to keep the sun from baking the rooms. Canvas awnings were common over windows and porches, especially in towns where houses sat close together, and you wouldn't think twice about walking on the shady side of the street. A darkened room might look gloomy at noon, but it was often cooler by evening. Do not invite the sun in and then complain the devil stayed for dinner. No, that's not a Southern proverb. I made that up. Did you like that?
Every style, every fabric is on sale now at Kohler Awning. Visit the Kohler Awning showroom or call now for a free in-home consultation.
Shootin' the breeze. When the inside of the house is too hot and there's nothing to watch on TV, people sat on their porches. After summer, families sat in rocking chairs or wicker chairs and enjoyed a relaxing evening reading the summer newspaper or listening to the transistor radio. Trees made a real difference, providing shade and fresh air, which is why people planted maples, elms, oaks, and sycamores around the house. A porch offered a view of the neighborhood without leaving the house. You spotted a neighbor washing their car, the postman delivering mail, or kids playing in the street. People waved, stopped, and talked. They knew you and you knew them. It was a real community. And you probably even welcomed the chance to talk to a traveling salesman. Nobody ever worried about someone's car blocking the driveway, crossing property lines, or violating HOA rules. Catching some Z's. Some people went all in with the porches, especially in the South. When bedrooms stayed hot long after sunset, sleeping porches gave families another option. These screened-in spaces were usually attached to the back or side of a house. Some houses had sleeping porches on the second level. This is where the air moved better above the trees. People slept on cots, iron beds, or thin mattresses and welcomed the night breeze. The screens and nets kept mosquitoes and other bugs out. The trade-off was hearing the neighborhood's ambient sounds at night: crickets, dogs, trains, and passing cars. Even William Howard Taft, our 27th president, slept on a screened-in sleeping porch on the roof of the White House. catch some Z's the hard way. It was outside, but it was certainly no porch. In big cities like New York with old tenement buildings, some people slept on fire escapes because their apartments were unbearably hot. Brick buildings, concrete, and asphalt streets heated up in the summer and held heat deep into the night. Especially during a heat wave when the air was hot and humid, some families couldn't take it anymore, and the fire escape was the last resort sleeping spot. Families would crack open a window, lay sheets or blankets on the iron bars, and drift off to La La Land as best they could. It was cramped, dirty, noisy, and risky. I mean, there's a big opening where the stairs are, and many stories above the ground. There was no screen to keep the bugs off either. People still felt it was worth it rather than getting baked inside. Here's a challenge. Would you dare sleep on a fire escape many stories high? Let us know in the comments. Escape. You went to these places not just to escape the heat, but maybe reality. Movie theaters were not just entertainment, but summer shelters. At the 1920s and 30s, many theaters advertised air conditioning because it brought people in during the hottest months. For the price of a ticket, which was a quarter back then, you could sit in the dark, watch a newsreel, cartoon, a short, and a feature, all while enjoying the crisp, cool air. Another place to escape would be the big department store. There were some indoor places that had air conditioning before it became a household essential. It didn't take much convincing for mothers to take their kids, stroll down the aisles of Macy's, Hudson's, or Sears, and just browse. These places gave people a break from the heat, while the industrial air conditioner generated ROI for these businesses.
Remember, you can enjoy great motion picture entertainment all summer long in cool comfort at this theater.
Nature's fridge. Now, let's head into the country, where modern conveniences were not so common, such as rural New England, the Hudson Valley in New York, Pennsylvania Dutch country, or Appalachia in West Virginia and Tennessee. Before everyone had a refrigerator, people used the coolness of the ground and water. Root cellars were built underground or partly underground. Protected by natural insulation, temperatures remained steadier than those outside. Families stored potatoes, apples, carrots, canned goods, and other foods that needed a cooler place to last. Spring houses were built over cold running water to keep milk, butter, and crocks chilled. These spaces were not meant for lounging, but stepping into one on a hot, humid day was a welcome respite. It was cool, damp, and quiet. It also showed how food storage took planning and how this was done for many centuries, with many traditions passed down.
5 years ago, I had a goal, and I'm pretty close to being there. Growing our own food, preserving our own food. I'm loving this.
An oasis. When the heat became too much, it was time for a hydration break. People naturally looked for water when the heat became too much. In the country, children and adults went to swimming holes, creeks, ponds, lakes, and rivers. In cities, public baths and city pools gave working families a place to cool off and wash up. Beaches, fountains, riversides, and even open hydrants became places to frolic in the streets. Not every spot was safe, and not every bit of water was clean by today's standards. But where there was water, people of all ages were drawn to it. These places gave people a chance to have fun for most of the day and create fond memories. Check out all these people in Coney Island. Could you imagine? When was the last time you saw the beach or went cannonballing in a pool? Sometimes all you need to do to beat the heat is the willingness to get wet, and that can be a lot of fun.
100,000 youngsters and oldsters, all swimming, playing, or resting, all getting their share of the sun and the fun, all refugees from the city heat, here where the beach meets the cool Atlantic.
Ice, ice, baby. Here comes the Iceman. Before refrigerators became common, the icebox was the main appliance in the kitchen. It was usually a wooden cabinet insulated with cork or sawdust and lined with tin or zinc. The Iceman delivered a heavy block of ice, sometimes carrying it up several flights of stairs with metal tongs and leather straps for families in tenement buildings without elevators. Children remembered the wagon or truck, the dripping block of ice, and if they were lucky, an icicle to suck on. The ice sat in the upper compartment so cool air could sink down over the milk, butter, meat, and vegetables. Later, when refrigerators came with small freezer compartments, families could make cubes at home. On a brutal day, some put a bowl of ice in front of a fan for a little relief. It helped until the ice melted, and you had to clean up the mess. Who remembers having to empty the drip pan from a refrigerator?
What a welcome caller in the hot weather is the Iceman, bringing health and comfort with every block of ice. Buy an ice refrigerator like this one, roomy, modern, well-insulated, an ornament to any kitchen. Use ice. Make life in summer really worth living.
Between the sheets. People probably learned this trick from hanging their bed sheets out to dry. A damp sheet in the window could cool the air a little as it passed through. People soaked sheets, towels, or light fabric, wrung them out, and hung them where the breeze came in. As air moved through the wet cloth, evaporation helped lower the temperature. It worked best in dry climates, such as most areas west of the Mississippi where moisture evaporated quickly. In humid places, it was less impressive, and sometimes you ended up with sheets that did little to cool down the room. Most people wore a wet towel around their necks and wiped away the sweat for some relief.
You can also just wet some towels and hang them up. So towels can definitely help you in case of a strong heat.
Fanning the flames. Hand fans were simple, cheap, and widely available in summer. You saw them in churches, on porches, at ball games, or your mom or sister had one. They required a little patience and constant back and forth movement of your wrist. Churches often had cardboard fans for funeral homes, local banks, or neighborhood businesses, usually printed with a peaceful scene on one side and an advertisement on the other. Women carried folding fans, men used newspapers, and children used whatever they could find. Do you remember having one of these folded Chinese paper fans you could put in your pocket? Today, you see people with handheld electric fans made in China. Made in the shade. If you look at an old house today, you can see how some homes were designed with the climate in mind. Deep eaves and roof overhangs shielded the siding and foundations from rain, preventing moisture damage and shaded windows. In the South, a dog trot house had an open breezeway through the middle so air could circulate between rooms. It was like having a shaded porch in the middle of the house. In the Southwest, adobe homes used thick walls so heat couldn't penetrate into the home. If your family was wealthy, they might have had gazebos, verandas, courtyards, and shaded yards to sit outside without roasting in direct sun. Today, you wouldn't have to suffer. Just duck into a room with modern HVAC central AC and adjust the temperature at the touch of a button. Pick up and go. Some families, if they had the money and the means, all they needed was an idea to head to in order to avoid the heat. Their extravagant idea was to leave for cooler places. Wealthier New Yorkers went to the Hamptons across Long Island Sound to Newport, Rhode Island, the Adirondacks, or the Jersey Shore. Families from Washington, D.C. spent time in mountain resorts or along the Chesapeake. In the South, people who could afford it also went to the mountains of North Carolina, Tennessee, or Virginia when the lowlands became hot and sticky. City families rented small cottages, stayed in boarding houses, visited relatives, or joined bungalow colonies near lakes and beaches. Without modern conveniences, it wasn't always fancy, but it was practical. When the heat settled in and would not leave, it was simpler to pick up and leave.
It connects Shenandoah National Park to Great Smoky Mountains National Park and is one of the most relaxing road trips you can do in the United States.
Swamp coolers. Before air conditioning became common, some drivers had this strange-looking metal tube hanging from the passenger side window. That was an evaporative car cooler. And in dry parts of the country, like in the Southwest, it was a welcome sight. People often called them swamp coolers. The cooler worked by pulling hot outside air through a water-soaked pad. As the water evaporated, cooler air blew into the car, adding moisture to the air. That's why they were called that. It wasn't true air conditioning. It worked best when the car was moving, and it could make a long summer drive a lot more bearable. You had to refill it with water, And in humid weather, it was mostly wishful thinking. But for desert highways, it was a clever little gadget. Hey, it made you look like you were driving a car James Bond would have.
There's actually some little louvers in here that you can turn and change the flow to the back or to the front, to the driver, whatever.
There you have it. What do you remember from your childhood about beating the heat? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, watch another one. YouTube thinks you'll enjoy this one next.